Yeah, Dale, I'm much like you. I'm a morning person, one of those evil, irritating morning people. Um, I know that because my wife is not. But I do. I get up and I can start in right away. Um, and so I can do more of my creative stuff. Um, and energy requiring tasks in the morning. And then by the afternoon, I kind of wane off. And that's where I can really get into the, like you said, the mundane stuff, the rote stuff, the stuff that doesn't take the right side of my brain. I can do more of my left brain tasks at that point in time. I realize I've kind of gotten into that without making it formal. I've done that just kind of a natural progression. It certainly varies because of what you have to do day to day. Some things take immediate uh, focus, but that's much of the same mindset.
Good, good. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll share that going through this process, I know I'm a morning person. I too, I like to do exercising and any of my detailed creative work first thing in the morning. So anytime between that 6:30 to noon time is my best time to really concentrate and or exert that energy. However, in putting this schedule together of what my ideal is versus what my actual is, I found that, kids' schedules, activities, driving back and forth, like getting up and doing some things. Well, it's easier for me to take a short period of time to knock out emails while I'm waiting for the kids to get ready to take them to school and then get to my office to start, which kicks out exercise time because I really don't have time to exercise fully when now that they're back in school in person and I'm back in the office. It really changes that schedule. So it brought to light for me of maybe taking some time to figure out how I can tweak it to make it better align.
Good, good. Yeah, and realize that, the schedules have to be flexible. I mean, there are days when I start writing during those early hours and it's just not working. It's just not flowing well. And I will shift to some other creative work at that point. So recognize that, this is the plan and this is where I'm most effective, but on a day-to-day basis that can change depending on how you're feeling that day. So yeah, good point, Lori. Thank you.
Dale, Andy said, where do you put production?
Well, all of that is production. The creative work, if I'm doing client work during that creative time, then I'm producing. Does that answer your question?
Kind of, he says.
Kind of. What's missing, Andy?
I guess for me, Dale, when you're doing accounting and although the tax work is creative work, just focused production work is frequently not that creative, at least for me. I mean, it certainly does have its moments because that's what we do well, but I guess it's a combination of creative, mundane. But again, and I guess administrative work would also be in there. So yeah, I do poorly on big blocks of times, and that's one of the things I know I need to work on is focus.
Yeah, well, in terms of the production, I guess I would look at it this way. If I'm serving a client, then I want to use my most creative energy. Even if some of the work that I'm doing there is something that I've done so often, it's almost rote, it's almost automatic. But I will do that during the creative times because there's less likelihood that I'll make a mistake. When I'm working on mundane tasks, I'm not as focused and I'm not as creative. So it's the kinds of things where if I make a mistake, it's not going to really hurt me that much. So, I look at it that way.
I really like the focus on managing energy instead of time. Not too long ago, I just experienced a pretty severe bout of burnout, and I found myself with plenty of time to do everything I needed to do, but the energy was just really, really tough to come by. I think that's a great concept. But as for me, as far as scheduling, I find that whatever's the most important thing for my day, if I do it first. I also am a morning person, and that's just my best energy, most creative, and most productive. So whatever's most important is what I tend to do first.
Good. Well put. Yeah. And what I find is that when I'm going with a natural energy flow, I accomplish a lot more quickly. It's how I can get by with a 7.5-hour workday. It's how I can travel as often as I do and as much as I do, because I just accomplish a whole lot more when I'm not operating against my natural energy flow. And you'll notice that in my schedule, there's me time, the exercise time and the reading. That's me time. Those are my rewards for having done other things well. Any others? All right, with that, I'm going to turn you over to Kathy Sexton, and she's going to share us some gems about focus.
So I have a question. Is focusing hurting your productivity? Research has shown that the power of focus is our driving force to our success. But what if I told you there's a downside to being directly focused? Have you ever considered you may be trying to focus too much? We all know that we need to stay focused to accomplish what we really need to get done, but at times it can be hard to get there or stay there, as was just discussed in a few of those questions. So on the other side of trying to stay focused, excessive focus can exhaust our brain's focus abilities, which can drain our energy, as Dale related to, and it can affect your decision-making abilities. You're less creative, and you cannot stay focused maybe as long or throughout the day. It's like having too many tabs open in our brain. So unfortunately, focus is a lot like a mental muscle. The more you work on building it up, the stronger it gets. Improving your mental focus is achievable, but it doesn't mean that it's always quick and easy. If it were simple, we would all be laser focused all the time. The key is your brain works best when it toggles between direct focus and indirect focus. So what do I mean by indirect focus? Well, indirect focus is when your brain activities, old memories, processing through the past and present, thoughts and ideas that you've had before, by revisiting those old patterns and situations. It allows you to imagine other opportunities, to be more creative. You can activate indirect focus in a lot of different ways. One of them, as Dale mentioned, is playtime. Another, he talked about napping. And napping is one of my favorite, but also positive daydreaming. Just time to just let your mind wander and think differently. So take some time to consider maybe other person's perspective on a situation. Do some role playing can also help you get into that more subconscious and allow you to be more indirect focus. So think about taking a walk, being in nature. some playful time with your pet. Just really, it's more of that, maybe what Dale was talking about, mundane, but really just some time so that you can be more creative and think through creative processes. You know, I'm sure you've had those days where, you know, you put your head down, got busy, cleared off your desk, zeroed out that inbox, and blasted through the project at hand, right? And you feel really focused and accomplished. Everybody had, you know, those days. But then the next day you get off to a good start, and then before you know it, you find yourself struggling to stay focused. You get caught up in just being busy, and before you know it, the day has gone by and you feel like reality that you got very little done. So if we intentionally build in indirect focusing into our day, we are more likely to be able to focus, stay focused longer when we really, really need to have that direct focus time. When we practice indirect focusing, it allows us to refresh our brain energy. It also allows us to dig deeper into our subconscious, coming up with new exciting ideas or solutions, making decisions that we would normally maybe not formulate. This is then the creative and desired brilliance that we all really strive for. So taking scheduled breaks and doing some indirect focus during the day will allow you to be and stay focused when you really need to. And focus is not just saying, I'm going to sit down and be focused on a task or a time frame. It's about building and following some kind of a defined process and building that into the schedule that Dale was talking about. So think about how you build direct focus and indirect focus into your day. So take some time to include fun time, as Dale was talking about, and planning is important to make sure that you have that space for that creative state of mind. I found that, you know, taking a walk or even driving alone with the radio off allows my brain to really come up with more ideas and thoughts and solutions to issues and problems I might have. I also can, you know, you might want to consider doing affirmations or afformations, which I do, and, you know, or make wise statements prior to going to sleep. It could be napping or before you go to sleep at night, or before you do meditation, if you do that in the morning. This will trigger different thought patterns and allow your brain to be more creative. The key is to experiment with different types of indirect focus activities. Find which ones work best for you and be intentional with using them throughout the day. Build them into your daily routine. Bottom line is that we need both direct and indirect focus time to be able to work at our peak performance. So excessive focus exhausts your brain focus abilities. So keeping both direct and indirect, and playtime in your daily routines. So I'll open it up for any other questions for Dale or myself.